All right, everybody, welcome back to the Little Art Studio podcast. My name is Ashlyn McKibben. I'm going to be your host today, and my guest here is Brittany Brave.
Hello.
She is an amazing comedian here in Miami, and I'm going to let her introduce herself.
Oh, wow. How awkward. Oh, no. Okay.
You said you liked this.
I do. I'd prefer to do my own intro because I'll keep it real. Hi, I am a manic little bitch. A Miami, New York native comedian actress. I'm on Hits 97.3 as an on-air talent. I do a lot of stuff. I like to vouch for women, and I'm out of my fucking mind.
She has opinions.
How dare I? Those are not allowed in 2023. We're getting to a point in Florida where women having opinions is about to be outlawed. So, yeah.
I feel like it's already probably pretty close.
Probably close.
I think we just have to check the news more often.
Correct.
See in the morning what we wake up to.
Dude, I couldn't be a bigger reproductive rights advocate, abortion rights advocate. I've had two. I'm proud of them. I talk about them openly. Like, women should have the right to do what they want with their bodies. Like, that's my stance on it. And even I was late to the party that DeSantis has basically banned abortion in the state of Florida.
I think literally yesterday.
Yeah. And I was like, I don't even know how to.
It's very scary.
Very scary.
We can't even get our tubes tied.
No, it's scary. It's like, a lot to process. And I think I'm disassociating is what I think is happening. Look, all the men I date. Okay.
We're not totally there.
No.
So I want to get into a little bit about, well, first of all, you're like really hard to track down, which I am super appreciative of you being able to make time for me.
Thank you for having me.
Squeeze me into this crazy schedule of yours.
I don't glorify being this busy.
But you are.
I am. I hate it. I'm falling apart. I had a mental breakdown 2 weeks ago that I openly had to like apologize to venues and comics. And I was like, I'm not well. And they were like, yeah, we like you portray like you're made of steel and you're always, and everyone's wondering how you're doing all of it. And I'm like, yep, well, guess what? I fucking fell apart. So I don't glorify being that busy. I am, but I don't like it. And I'm actually in a place where I'm trying to like achieve a balance. But yes, I'm happy to be here. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I feel like every 5 minutes I wake up and Brittany's in New York, or then Brittany's in LA, or Brittany's in Miami for 2 days, and then she's back to Vegas.
Or Brittany's spiraling. Listen, I can spiral in any city. Don't threaten me with a good time.
So where's your favorite place to
spiral?
To perform and spiral.
Oh my God,
publicly spiral.
My favorite place to perform, and I have also, shocker, publicly spiraled here as well. My favorite city ever, my favorite place to perform ever is actually Chicago, Illinois.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. Why?
Great city. Just has all of the urban edge of New York, but isn't as pretentious. The crowds are great. I just really like the city. Granted, I've never been there in the winter, which I hear is brutal. So that could change everything. But I've always just really liked Chicago. I have no tie to it. There's no family there. There's no anything. But I feel like when I tape my first actual 1 hour special with Netflix, like it's going to be in Chicago.
Okay. Cool.
I just feel like a kindred connection there.
Where's your least favorite place to perform?
Oh, man. Least favorite place.
And then I want to know the worst one that's ever happened with
I can tell
your
you.
hecklers.
Oh, I can tell you that. My least favorite places to perform are a tie between Miami and Vegas. And I love Miami, and I'm very proud of Miami and the Miami comedy scene and what I've been able to do and other people have been able to do, but it frustrates the fuck out of me because Miami's such a vapid, attention-seeking city that it's not super conducive to stand-up comedy.
Yeah.
They want the show to be about them. It's a party. It's really annoying. And I didn't like Vegas. I did Vegas in February, and it was like,
Yeah.
at best. Like, it was like very touristy and fake and drunk and whatever.
Yeah.
And my worst bomb ever, well, I've had a few. I'm actually going to tell this story. This is probably the latest worst bomb ever. I was doing a show at the Good Time Hotel here in Miami.
Yeah, cute spot. I was
Cute
there
spot.
recently.
Yeah, it's run by like a local collective down here. And I was having a really good set. It's months ago. I was having a really, really good set. And I particularly like to talk about real shit with my comedy. I think there's only so much of Tinder, eating ass, yes, queen, that you can do where it's like, shut the fuck up and say something or get out of this art form. And I started dipping into some material, not even jokes, but material I have about school shootings. And this woman, everything was going great. And then this woman was like, I love you. I've seen you perform so many times. I've had enough. And I was like, oh, I can't even believe you're saying school shooting. I can't even believe you're talking. And she starts like hysterically crying. And it like silences the room.
Yeah.
It's like where you could hear.
Like while you were.
While I was like in the middle of my set, I was like, what? And I gave her the time of day.
Yeah.
I could have very easily been like, bitch, shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
But I was like, no. This is a sensitive issue.
Yeah.
I don't know how it affects her. I understand it's dark material.
Yeah.
And I gave her the time of day, and she went on for 7 to 10 minutes about, oh my God, I can't even believe you said the word school and shooting and bop, 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 bop. And I had to dig myself out of this like very serious, profound, dark, real hole. Mm-hmm. And I did artfully. And like the audience in the back, like people were like, ma'am, you don't get the joke.
Yeah.
There's so many of them all the time. You need to. And I even asked her, I was like, are you directly impacted by this? Have you lost somebody? Are you a teacher? Are you a mother? And she was like, no. And I was like, listen.
Like just roll with the punches.
A little bit. And like, listen, like my job as a comedian, I believe the best and greatest comedians that I think comedians have the potential to change the world.
Yeah.
If they allow themselves to go there in an artful way. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, my job as a comedian is to tell the truth and to open eyes. And your job as an audience, the least you can do is meet me halfway. You don't need to like me. You don't need to even think I'm funny.
Yeah.
But if I'm gonna be here pouring all of this out and being willing to talk about real shit, the least you can do is like kind of shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
And like meet me halfway. And it was like a whole. But that was probably one of the toughest nights I had on stage because. I mean, you know, you're a creative. Like you're always battling yourself versus your public persona, and it was a lot, but we did it.
Yeah. How old are you, if I can ask?
No, it's fine. 32.
Okay. How long have you been doing stand-up?
I have been doing stand-up for 3-ish years. I have been doing comedy in general for over 17.
Okay.
So I've done theater, improv, sketch, and I danced around stand-up for a really, really long time.
Yeah.
Before doing stand-up. I don't know. I always thought I wouldn't do stand-up, which is so stupid now. I was like, nah, it's not for me. And then I hit like one open mic and I was like, oh my God.
You're like, I'm hilarious.
I'm hilarious. People need me and only me on stage all the time. No, I loved it. I loved the freedom it gave me and it helped me reclaim myself after a lot of bad shit that went down. And I was like, wow, this art form is like amazing and impactful. And it's the only thing that really cuts through. So that's when I fell in love with stand-up.
Did you do like theater school or anything, like any type of
college? I did a lot of improv and acting academies in Miami coming up and like high school, college theater competitions. And then I studied theater at University of Florida. And I did UCB and IO and Second City and all the big major improv schools. And it just took me a lot of years to find myself.
Yeah.
It's weird. I'm like in radio now and I'm doing stand-up and I'm creatively the happiest I've ever been.
Yeah.
And those are two things that have been in my life forever.
Well, it's good that you can take exactly what you were going to school for and still indirectly apply it, even if it's not.
I'm pissed about the debt I'm in.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, we all are. But I have a degree in PR and I have a degree in theater, and I can't say I'm not using it. Like, you know, I picked two. I still studied what was me at the end of the day. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's perfect. That's how I feel too. I'm like, there is a camera in the room still.
Exactly, dude, totally. Like, and PR for my own comedy career, and it all just kind of connects the dots. So, yeah.
Super helpful.
Yeah.
What do you feel when, so you said your first performance was an open mic. How was that?
I don't even remember.
No?
No. It wasn't my first performance, because I had been performing my whole life.
Stand-up.
Stand-up, sure.
Yeah.
I've been performing my whole life. So to be totally honest, the very first time I did stand-up actually at an open mic, I think I blacked out. I don't really remember. It wasn't good, but you know, it wasn't memorable by any means, for bad or for good. But I got thrusted into stand-up, which I think was the universe being like,
yeah,
you are not doing the things you should be doing. Because I started doing open mics and then very serendipitously got scouted by New York Comedy Festival a month into starting stand-up.
Nice.
And they were like, we want to feature you on an emerging talent showcase that's being live streamed by TBS. And I was like, oh, okay. And they were like, you have 10 minutes.
Shit.
And I was like, no. In my head, I'm like, I barely have 2, bitch. Like, what? But I was like, yeah, I have 10 minutes. Yeah, let's do this. And like, but I think if that had not happened, I don't think I'd be where I am now.
Yeah.
But if you're asking about the first time I did, I mean, that TBS showcase, I'm sure in the moment was good for somebody who hadn't done a lot of stand-up. But if I watched it now, I'd probably run in front of a train. But it's okay. It's okay. I think it's okay as creatives to be new at something.
Yeah.
We're all very afraid to look novice.
Right.
I think ignorant is what you should be afraid of.
Yeah, you got to be bad at it a little bit before you get good at it.
And that's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay to be like, you know what? You're fucking right. I don't have this particular skill set yet. Yeah. Or I'm not comfortable.
That was me with the green screen shit. I was like, I could take a video for Brittany.
Dude, yeah.
And she's like, I want green screen. I want this.
I was like manic, obviously, because I always am. But like, I'm in that with radio now. Like I can talk into a microphone clearly all day. I can talk too much, arguably. But like, I have to run my own board at the station.
Yeah.
And I fucked up a lot. And I've doubled and just I've made mistakes. And I've had to kind of be like, this isn't a reflection on my intelligence or talent or ability. It's okay to be new at something. And make mistakes, just learn and move forward kind of thing.
Well, I think also too, women are double critical about how they either are perceived or like, especially in the workplace or any type of creative industry. I feel like we have to, for me, I have like a perfection complex where I'm like, no, I have to do every single thing, right? Like, no, I need the perfect gear. I need this, I need that. And I'm like really, really, really hard on myself. Mm-hmm. But I also feel like there's a lot of men that are not hard on themselves.
They're not at all. Well, also, I heard a saying that was like, do not sacrifice good for perfect.
Yeah.
And I daily try to ram that into my head because I'm like you too, where I'm like, well, if I can't do it the right way, I'm not going to even do it.
Yeah.
And that's why I procrastinate. Because it's like, I'm like, I should have made merch months ago, but I'm still, what should I make and how should it look? And back and forth on designs where it's like, at some point, it's like you're standing in your own way trying to make something perfect and perfect isn't real.
Yeah.
But you're totally right. Like women, at least as a comic, I can't bomb.
Yeah.
If I bomb, immediately it's she's not funny. Who'd she fuck to get this spot? I feel it. Yeah. She's not what she's cracked up to be. She doesn't deserve the credit she gets. I hear all of it. Mm-hmm. Men bomb, and it just kind of, there's a different culture around it. Yeah. And I do feel that way. I do feel an added pressure sometimes, and it's exhausting, honestly. Yeah.
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 Who do you look up to in the comedy realm?
My all-time ever, forever is Joan Rivers. Mm-hmm. And I know it's so cliche, and she would be the first to make fun of it. Like, you open so many doors for me. And she'd be like, fuck you, I'm still opening doors for you. She has like a quote of that. Like, but I love her. And I think that she came up during a time when not a lot of women were doing stand-up or TV or entertainment. And my God, she was so fucking funny and undeniable and scrappy that she cut her way through.
Yeah.
And she made people pay attention to her.
Yeah.
And she also pissed a lot of people off. And like for me, she's the mecca for that.
Yeah.
And I want to be that for whatever my class is. I want to be the person that's the bad guy, but for the greater good, kind of.
Right.
I love her. I love Jessica Curson. I get to open for Jessica. She's amazing. She's so good to other female comics, and she's such a brilliant, perfect comedian. She's amazing. I love Lucille Ball. I love Tina Fey. I love Amy Poehler.
I see so much Tina Fey in you.
Really?
Yeah.
That's a compliment.
No, I thought that like the first time I saw you perform, I was like, fuck, she reminds me of Tina Fey. And I couldn't really put my finger on it like the second it was happening.
Yeah.
But then like later on, I think I was watching like something with her in it, and I was like, oh yeah, that's fucking Brittany.
Oh fuck yeah.
For sure.
I love that. Thank you.
I think it's like the way she carries herself too, and she's like, I don't know, like she's a little munchkin like you. I don't think
yeah, it's like very like cerebral and it's no, totally. And I mean, like I loved her even before I did stand up, so that's a huge compliment. Thank you. But yeah, women that are just not afraid to get shit, because I think in order to like really be noticed, unfortunately, you have to like, I'm in this position right now personally with Miami Comedy. Like I've done so much and accomplished so much, and I'm really proud of everything I've done and done for this scene. I'm literally producing a documentary to try and capture what's happening with Miami Comedy, but I'm hated a lot. Like a lot of people fucking hate me. And I burned a lot of bridges because I was willing to be like bullshit or say no or push back or you know what? Even if you could give me XYZ, I don't care. I don't want it.
Yeah.
If this is how you're going to operate. So I'm feeling a weird resistance right now, but I know that my North Star is comedy.
No, but it's a super good position to be in when you can say no to stuff. You know, when people want to step on you and push you around and stuff, as soon as you can be like, I actually need this less than you need me. And
Correct.
You can step away from something. That's super refreshing. And that's like the best place you can be in, though.
Yeah. And something I would tell artists is no matter where you're at in your journey, whether you're making $25 a spot or $500 a spot, like take money, clout, credits, and fame out of it. You really should, okay, it's twofold, but you should kind of adopt that mentality even when you're just beginning a little bit.
Yeah.
Like, be okay saying no.
Yeah.
It's okay. I understand the one side of it because I was like that too as a comic where they'd be like, do you want to drive 3.5 hours to do 5 minutes for $50? And I would be like, yeah. Like, you know, and like, but I would do it because I'm like, okay, and I can't say no to anything, and I'm nothing in this fucking game, and I'm climbing the ladder, I'm not shit, and whatever. And that's a good, scrappy mentality to have. But I also think having self-respect and realizing your worth as an artist is so important. Yeah. And I would say that even if you're just starting out, I think it's okay for you to get presented with a gig and weigh your pros and cons,
right,
and see if it's okay for you and within your comfort zone and something you would want to do. I think that's okay. I don't think you need to wait to where you're professional or big or whatever word you want to put on it to start saying no. I think you can be presented with something a year into stand up and be like, this feels weird.
Yeah.
I'm okay. That's okay. That's called self-respect.
Right.
That's like knowing your worth, you know? So,
exactly.
Yeah.
I was watching, this is kind of like on the last topic, my brain just thought about it. I was watching this documentary, it was about Reba, actually, and like her start and everything, and Dolly Parton was a speaker in the... I
love Dolly Parton.
Oh my God,
so
I love her
much.
so much. She was like talking about it, and she was like, well, you know, if a man is demanding, you know, he's just bold. she was like, but if a woman is demanding, she's like, she's a bitch. And she's like, me and Reba, we were just bitches. That's it.
I'm going to be honest. There are so many women in my business that before I got the chance to meet them or work with them, I was told, bitch.
Yeah. But then they're great.
And I know, fuckers. I know you're saying that about me too, because I've heard it come back to me as well.
Yeah.
That she's a bitch and she's tough and she's a hothead and she's and whatever. But I also know that so many women in my business that are doing really well have been spoken about that way. And then I work with them and they're fucking wonderful.
They're like the best people you can
ever.
Work with.
And they're like just really fucking good. And I see it now. I see it as somebody who's on the way to where they are. I'm like, you know, if I were at her level too, where I like had to claw for my spot and deal with a lot of bullshit and fight gender dynamics and be undeniable every single time because somebody was waiting for me to slip, I'd be pretty fucking hardened too.
Yeah.
Because I'm already like that. Like I show up to fucking comedy shows like resting bitch face. I'm like, when do I go on?
The video of you in the corner like with your drink.
Oh, dude, that's me. I'm like with my martini on the side of the stage and I'm like, when do I go up? When do I get out? Get me the fuck out of here. I'm all business. Don't look at me. Like, then I wonder why I'm single. But yeah. So it's just, I don't know. It's all of those qualities a man would get looked at as being stoic and strong and whatever. And a woman is...
He knows what he wants.
He knows what he wants. And a woman is a bitch. And at this point when I get called a bitch, I'm like, truly
Probably.
Probably. And I'm like, thank you.
Yeah.
That means I fucking stood up for myself and you're mad about it. Thank you. Yeah.
I think anymore I'm just like, yeah, maybe.
And I love the word bitch.
Yeah.
I do. I think it's such a compliment for women.
That should be your merch. She's a little bitch.
I have it in my bio on Instagram. I'm like, tiny, loud, comic producer, actress, bitch. And I'm so proud of it because I'm like,
tell the people how tall you are.
That's so rude.
No, tell them.
6'4".
Yeah.
Totally.
I'm 5'0", so.
Same. I'm 4'11", actually.
There we go.
4'11" on a good day.
Just two little nugs.
Two little nugs. And I think that's another reason that people look at us and they're like, let me fuck with her. And we're both like, absolutely not.
For me, I feel like it's size and age. Like, as soon as...
How old are you?
I'm 27.
Okay, yeah, but, you know,
But usually in my realm, it's a lot of older men. So then I always hear like, so how long have you been doing photography?
And pro tip, never answer that. I think we talked about this because I get that with stand-up. How long you been at it? Mind your fucking business.
Yeah.
Never answer that. It doesn't matter.
Unless it's me asking.
Of course. Unless it's you on a podcast, then it's fine. But I think as a creative, especially a female creative, nobody's business, and it doesn't matter. Massage your way out of that answer. All that matters is that on that stage that night, you were undeniably funny.
Yeah.
And you got laughs. The room doesn't lie. Doesn't matter if you were doing it 1 year or 10 years. Don't just be like, oh, I've been,
a long time,
and then just get up there and kill, and
Gotta
that's
go.
it. That's it. Because they're gonna judge you.
Yeah.
If you've been doing it too long, they're gonna wonder why you're not famous yet. If you haven't been doing it long enough, they're gonna underestimate you. So you might as well just not fucking answer.
Yeah, you can't fucking win.
Win your field too.
Yeah.
Might as well be like, I don't know, I've been shooting forever. Okay.
Since I was born.
I came out of the womb telling dick jokes. What's up, bitch? Yeah.
I had a guy one time at a wedding. Jose was shooting this wedding with me. He's behind the camera right now.
Hi, Jose.
Hi, Jose. Say
He's
hello.
so afraid to talk.
He's so shy now.
He's having ASMR
we
with a
scared
dog.
him a little bit, yeah.
We asked him if we look okay. No, we asked him if we looked hot before we started recording.
And he was like, no.
And he's like, you mean like you guys have a fever? And we were like, no, like attractive. And he was like, let's just record. What?
Are you ready or not?
Are you guys ready? Because let's get out of here. Okay.
No, but I was shooting this wedding like 2 or 3 months ago, and I was trying to organize like a 60-person family photo, and everybody was wasted.
Of course.
Every single one of them. I don't know why we did an open bar before the ceremony started, but we did an open bar before the ceremony started.
That's amazing for them and terrible for you.
Trying to wrangle 60 people. I'm like, okay, if you're standing behind somebody, stop standing behind somebody, because I literally
peeing
can't
in a bush,
see.
can you not
Everyone
do that and
fucking
turn
gets
around?
So there was a guy that he was like on the shorter side. I moved him around like one too many times for his liking, and I was just trying to make sure he could be seen, the whole time.
You're doing your job.
Literally, like, you're in the photo, you're important, you're relative. So he's like, God, can we just take the photo? And so I was like, I literally had to stop and collect myself. I was like, don't do it. And I was like, listen, I'm trying my best. There's so many people involved. Please just bear with me. I'm so sorry.
Don't be the one that's difficult during the wedding photo, you fucking loser. Like.
So then he was like, okay, well, you don't have to be such a bitch about it.
Oh, no.
And I was
dying
like,
of fire.
oh my God. And I was like, well, you don't have to be in the photo if you don't want to be, but I'm going to hear about it later, and we're either going to figure this out or we're not. So what are we doing right now?
Good for you.
Literally, what are we doing?
Good for you, because in that moment, especially when you're a freelancer and you're your own business owner, you're confronted with bullshit like that.
Yeah. And that could be something that could like sink you. Just one bad wedding review could just tank my whole shit.
You could either not get paid, get paid the amount you were promised, get bad reviews, whatever. And that's so hard to like maintain your own personal integrity and also maintain your livelihood, because you don't have
arrested.
Not get arrested. That's me. I'm usually so many times male comics. I'm like, I'd fucking murder you right now, like truly, and like, but it's so hard because you're always at this intersection of like, I really want to stand up for myself, but I might not, like, especially when you're freelancing.
Yeah,
I might not get my fucking paycheck.
Oh no!
If I say what's on my mind. Well, I mean, every industry has money but stand up.
You gotta have a little contract.
I do. I get paid up front. I always get paid up front.
Good.
For the corporate gigs. Corporate gigs, I always get paid up front because
those are the ones I don't get paid up front.
Really?
Yeah.
So weird.
Yeah. Everything else I'm paid like on the spot. Corporate shit I won't see for like a month or 2 months.
Corporate, I'm like, I need at least half up front, because they're always the ones that are like, we want it clean. But you could say fuck or not or whatever. And I'm like, I'm not even doing this. Give me the money up front. And then.
So wait, they'll dock your pay if you like, I don't know.
I'm going to drag them. So.
Do it.
It's okay. So Smorgasburg, Miami.
Oh, God. She's going to get my podcast canceled before it starts.
I have a lawyer. Treated us like fucking shit. Treated me like fucking shit. And my comedians had to suffer. So I approached them wanting to do a festival around 305 Day Weekend, because they're a big food truck park in Wynwood, the center of the city.
I think you already kind of publicly dragged them, so I don't
I
feel
told you about
bad.
that. Yeah. Well, that was somebody else. I love dragging people. I don't know if I have a problem. I just can't help it. If you're a piece of shit, people will know. And I produced this festival both days, and it was hosted, presented by me. Yes, totally. I booked the comics, whatever. I squeezed a budget out of them, and I got less money than what was needed for the people I had. This is another thing as a creative. Your rate is your rate.
Yeah.
That's it. Like, whether you can afford me or not,
Don't
or like
budge,
it or not, that's it. My rate for 20 minutes is this, and that's it. So they're like, well, we can't give you more, but we can make sure the comics eat and drink for free. And we'll spoil them with that. I was like, okay. So the first day happens. It's great. It's a success. I kill. I MC it. It's great. Whatever. The next day, I work in radio. I had contests. I said, hey, I'm going to get there about 15 minutes after the show starts, rushing from my shift. Somebody else will technically MC or kick it off, but I'll jump in.
Right.
And it's
like you're like, I have it covered.
I have it covered. Nothing's going to fall apart. But
Yeah.
if you're looking for me to be the one to kick it off, not necessarily, but I will jump in and save it, whatever. And he's immediately like, yeah, no, I'm kind of pissed at you. No, like, you're not holding up your end of the deal with this, and like bullshit and blah, 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 and like whatever. And I'm like, hey, man, I have a job, and this is just what it has to be. So that night, all the comics pay for their food and their drinks. And the next day I invoice him, and he's like, you know, I really want to fight you on the amount of money, but I guess it might not be worth the back and forth.
Oh.
I'm like, it's absolutely not, because it's agreed upon what the rates are. And he's like, how to complain about the headliner, how to complain about that. You should have been the one. The reason Sunday sucked was because you didn't open it up and you didn't kick it off. And the guy we had close on Saturday fucking sucked and blah, blah, but, and it was all of this. And at the end of the day, he's like, I'm like, I don't even need the food vouchers for me.
Yeah.
I want to take care of the comics that I brought into this fucking circus.
Yeah.
And make sure they can be. He's like, I'm not going to give you any food or drink vouchers because I feel like that's fair because from my seat, you didn't do your job.
Oh my God, by 15 minutes.
I was like, bet.
Please, in Miami.
Send me the money. Fuck right off. I told every comic, none of them are ever stepping. Like, you cannot. Oh my God, the way venues treat artists.
Yeah.
I was like, what a shitty.
No, and
Shitty.
I could see if you were like 2 hours late, an hour late, 30 minutes late.
And I was like, hey, man. And it was like, hey, it's last minute, but I have giveaways. Therefore, I need to be live. And this is my job.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I'm,
And it was all wrapped in the
like,
same weekend, too. Right?
all in the same weekend, a chaotic weekend for everybody. And then he made everybody else suffer. So it's like, you know, there's just this, there's no convincing certain people of the value of art.
Yeah.
If you don't get it and you don't want to treat us correctly, all good, onward you go. But the fact of the matter is we're the bloodline of society and the thing that's keeping people sane.
That's true. I have a lot of people that'll hit me up for jobs and they'll be like, well, it's very simple, you know, so it's not going to require a lot.
And you're like, I'll fucking tell you what it requires because I'm the one who's doing it.
Still my rate if it's simple or not. But it's so many, just a few photos is what we need. It's very simple.
And then before you know it, it's 3.5 hours and I know.
And they're always, anybody who claims that their gig is going to be simple, they're
it's never not.
always the complicated ones, no matter what.
Always.
So just don't hit me with that.
Well, I learned that with when I started freelancing with PR, like the people who didn't have the budget ended up being the nightmare clients.
Yeah.
The people who did have the budget were fine.
That's it.
Because the people who don't have the money are making a stretch to hire you. Therefore, if for even a second you slip or don't do something they want, they already really couldn't afford you. So they're going to immediately be like, ugh, like, you know.
The only time I like flex on rate is if you're like a teacher. Like if I know like you're a teacher, you want like family portraits or something like that. No, I might hook it up a little bit. I might be nice about it.
Oh, yeah.
But if you're trying to stretch me and I know, and the worst is when you try to stretch me on my rate and I get to your house and it's like a mansion. It's always that.
Every
too.
single time.
It's always that.
I removed a show from a venue. It's a gorgeous room on Miami Beach. And I squeezed next to nothing. Very much so under $1,000. Let me put it that way. Like to produce an entire show with multiple comedians. And they wanted nationally touring names. And I was like, but those people cost money.
Yeah.
So what, and also we don't even have them down here. So what do you want? Whatever. Right. And I decided to pull the show when the owner of the venue let it slip that he somehow was able to find $2,500 for a burlesque show.
Oh.
But I'll just put it this way: we weren't getting $2,500,
yeah, for multiple
but way
people.
under $1,000 for multiple people on a stand-up comedy show.
Yeah.
And I clocked it when he was like, "I'm over here paying $2,500 for this fucking burlesque and drag show, and it's not even moving tickets and blah blah blah." And in my head, I'm like, "Bet."
And you're like, this would have moved tickets, but
Correct. But I silently did the last show, never called again. That was it. I was like, that's where his view of me and stand-up is.
yeah.
Not worth the fight.
I've been on gigs standing next to men, and I'll overhear them discussing their rate, and it would be like triple of what my rate would be. And I'm like sitting there doing the same exact job, and I'm like,
Or maybe more.
yeah, or probably more. So
Yeah.
been there.
It's just real. And like you're ignorant or you're a part of the problem if you're not
Yeah.
acknowledging that.
Yeah.
It's real. It's happening. You're doing it. It's happening to women you fucking care about and respect and admire. I've had that too. Myself and a male comic got booked on a beauty conference. I was doing 8 hours during the day. He was doing the nighttime 4 hours. I pushed and went back and forth, and I landed at a measly number. He literally got triple the amount for half the hours in work.
Yeah.
And I called them out on it. And I was like, fucking shame on you.
Yeah.
Like, him and I know each other. We discussed this. I'm out. Fuck you. Find somebody else.
Yeah.
Like, this is disgusting.
Or at that point, like, you're going to have to pay me a little bit more to keep me around.
Correct.
A little bit more than him.
Correct. And it's real. And if you're not acknowledging it, you're a part of the problem, or you're willing to be a part of the problem. And it's just not okay. It's very real, though.
Well, I think a lot of people think just because, like, we're outspoken about it that it doesn't happen. But I'm like, no, literally, I will talk to people, or I'll overhear what they're making, or, you know, there's always, like, a situation where this can happen. And I'm like, it's actively happening right now. Like, I'm seeing people charging triple of what I'm charging. And, like, you know, like, for shittier work, you know? And
always. Yeah.
It's just, like, I don't know. I'm like, how do we fix this issue? Like, there's, like, I don't know. It's impossible.
It's impossible, and it's so ingrained in society. And I had something happen recently that you and I DM'd about too, and it was a male booker, and I asked for $50 more, and he agreed. And then afterwards, he's like, "You should have helped me pack the room." And I said, "That wasn't a part of our deal." And then he was like, "Well, you were a brat for asking for more money." And I was like,
$50
for $50. I mean, we're talking $50 to $100. You know, like, we're really splitting hairs here. And like, I was like, no, I'm not. Like, men ask for more money all the time. You actually told me that headliner on that show, you were like, oh, he's expensive.
Yeah.
So you were able to make it work for him.
But also, too, $50 in Miami is like 2 cocktails. At, like, depending on the place that you're at.
Yeah, or an Uber somewhere.
Yeah.
Or something. But it's, you know, it's just the principle of it. And it's, what I think it requires is like every movement gets changed from the people on the inside changing it. And I know this sucks, and I know nobody wants to turn down opportunities or work, but if you want to change the integrity and the culture of your industry, we need to stop saying yes to gigs, to shitty gigs.
Yeah.
You have to tell, like, if XYZ Smorgasburg or whatever venue, other venue on Miami Beach, comes to another comedian and decides to just kind of take two, acting like, you know, also have community. Like, comedians stick together, photographers stick together. Like, even if you don't like each other or even respect each other.
We have a very, like, synonymous industry, though.
It's all entertainment, lifestyle bullshit.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's like, we have to have each other's back. Because they'll come to me, I'll get dicked over about money, cut them out, but then they'll go to you, and you're all of a sudden like, that's okay, you can pay me $100 for 6 comedians or something. And now you don't realize it. You think you're just hustling or getting any opportunity you can, but you're fucking like the pH balance of your industry up.
I know, that's the people that are like, I'll shoot your wedding for free if you fly me here. I'm like, stop doing that.
No,
stop doing that.
Or the comics that are like, that's okay, don't pay me. Drinks are fine. I'm like, no.
Drinks don't pay the bills.
Drinks don't pay your bills.
Yeah. Drinks don't pay my bills.
At all. Just ask him if those 2 free drinks could be converted into $20.
Yeah.
And like,
I know some places, I will not name them, but will pay DJs in like a bottle. Like, oh, well, you know, it's like a small night or something. Yeah. And, oh, well, we'll give you a bottle of tequila for free.
And that gig is not worth it.
And they're like popular places.
Oh, I'm sure they are. The more popular, usually the shittier.
Yeah.
A lot of places. Like it's like, and it's okay, but I think that, you know, you're gonna lose quality art and you're gonna lose quality entertainment. And I think people forget that artists are still human beings. That's my whole thing.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, like you end up talking to us like, well, you didn't fulfill your end of the deal. Well, I'm gonna punish you or haggle you on money or whatever. And it's like, hey, buddy, you know how you have bills? Like, I do too. And like, let's try to talk as human beings a little bit. So yeah.
Yeah, I think people have this complex where they're like, well, you know, you could always just get a job.
All the time.
Like,
my parents, yeah.
This is my job.
This is my job, yeah. And it's hard because it's like, I mean, I'm even at that point, like, I'm in that gap between where the momentum is there, but the money is not.
Yeah.
And it's constantly oscillating between the two. And me personally, like, I look at a gorgeous apartment like this, and I'm like, I haven't had my own apartment in 2 years since, like, living in New York. So I'm like, I'm leaning towards getting a job to gain security in hopes that that'll free up creativity. And, you know, because I've done for the last 2.5 years, no apartment, balls to the wall, no job but this.
You've been in Miami for 2 years?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And I had committed myself to doing just comedy financially and full time right before COVID, about a year before COVID in New York. And then COVID hit, and I was like, or not.
Yeah.
And then came down here, and then here blossomed in a really beautiful, awesome way. And I got a lot of work, but just because there's work as an artist doesn't mean there's money. And that's the shitty thing.
Yeah.
Is bridging that gap. And it just sucks because on the one hand, I think you don't get really funny until you throw that net to the wayside and you're like, I'm just a comedian and I'm gonna work on being money funny. Like people are gonna pay me because I'm not fucking funny. And it works to an extent. But on the other hand, like I'm missing security at this point. And I think I'm at a point where it's kind of impacting my creativity. But it never goes away. You
manage everything yourself.
I'm my own manager, agent. I'm having those conversations, but I'm not quick to jump into any of them until I find the right person.
Yeah.
And so far I've not. I find a lot of men who want to work with me, but more so want to fuck me. So
yeah, no,
no to that.
No to that.
No to that. You're like, oh, this is cool, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh,
that's why I thought it was cool.
Never mind. Okay, guess not. Yeah. So
the hover.
The hover.
They hover over you. It's so scary. I hate it.
The orbit.
Yeah.
The lurk.
You can feel it when it starts happening.
Oh yeah. Yeah. You're like, oh, this is the real intention. Got it. Okay.
Would you do like a tour? Like a,
Yeah, I would.
Across the country?
I would. I do a new city every month for at least 5 days. So like this year alone, I've done Atlanta, Charlotte, South by Southwest, and Austin, and Vegas. And then I'm doing a Florida tour across the summer. So I do like spotty touring, and I would tour.
To me, that is a tour.
It is. Yeah, I've been in.
I feel like that's better though, because you can kind of get a feel for the place for a little bit longer versus like one night.
Yeah, that's harder for sure to like kind of like jump in and just figure out what Minneapolis is like in one night in 4 hours for sure. Then I would do a longer tour, but it would just have to financially make sense. I'd either need to be like steadily opening for somebody or already on a stride. But I'm a big believer that like you have to put yourself as an artist in new places and get comfortable being uncomfortable.
Do you adjust your work based on the city you're in or no? Okay. Oh, all right.
How so? But I always feel like the first show in a new city, I bomb a little by my standards, at least. Like maybe not a bomb, but like, cause I don't know Charlotte. I don't know Las Vegas. So that first one, you're kind of, it's like sex with the person.
Who are you people?
Who are you? What are you into? What are you not? Okay. And oftentimes when you're a brand new comic in a city, they're not giving you 10 to 20 minutes. They're giving you 5 to 7. So you like really got to figure out quickly like what they're about. And then if you do well in that 5 to 7, as the trip goes on, you pick up new shows, or the next time, like at this point I've done Chicago enough where I'm doing all the main clubs. Yeah. And I used to live in New York, so I do clubs when I'm there. And like I've been to Austin a few times, so I always do bigger shows there. That's why I was able to do South by. But Vegas, I was brand new. Yeah. And those 6, 7 shows, I was like, ooh, weird city. Okay.
Yeah. Well, also Vegas, I feel like nobody's from Vegas.
Which is really hard as a comedian because you're like, so what's the one thing you all give a fuck about?
Yeah.
Like
drinking.
Okay. Yeah. Like literally, you're like, what's the one reference you're all gonna get?
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, nothing. Okay. Yeah. So, but no, I do adapt. And a lot of that, I think over time as a good comedian comes with intuition. You just can, if you're really present in the moment, you can feel what they want and what they're cool with or not or whatever.
Yeah.
You know, but yeah. So weird. Everybody bombs.
Yeah.
Comedy's so volatile. I've seen greats and legends bomb, and I've seen newbies kill.
I get such bad like secondhand embarrassment. I start sweating when the comedians like even if it's like I'm watching like a TikTok or something and I'm like,
start sweating
they're
too.
Not funny. I'm just like dying inside. Like,
I do too.
Like I feel so bad.
I care so much about the art form.
I'll just start laughing.
Me
like,
too.
Whatever. That's hilarious.
I get like really nasty. Like I'll send clips to my friends who are also comics, and I'm like, "What the fuck is this?"
Yeah.
like, and it's because I care so much about
I'm
the art form.
Yeah, I went to an open mic recently, and my friend had such bad secondhand embarrassment for the people bombing that she started like tearing up, and she like had to get up and leave. I'm gonna call her out, and I'm gonna send this directly to Ev because you know what you did.
That is the funniest thing.
She was literally like, she's like, I'm sweating. So hard. She was like rocking back and forth.
What mic? What mic?
I'm not gonna say it.
No, you have to.
It was at Union.
Yeah.
But it was like, okay, there were funny people. There were funny people, and everybody did say something funny. But there was like a few that got her really bad in the secondhand embarrassment department.
Listen, great room, great restaurant.
It's a cool space.
Love Connie to
good
death. Great beer, whatever. But also, like, totally.
I have nothing bad to say.
No, totally. Also, that's open mic comedy.
Yeah. It's. I think there was like a few people who had never done it, and they're not really they're just
I bombed open mics because when I do an open mic, you're not gonna get my A+ shit.
Right. You're
gonna get me being like paper straws. No. Yeah. Anyways. Okay.
Yeah, that's pretty much what was going on.
Yeah. I mean, but I think at some point as an artist, you learn to like, my whole thing is bombing with grace.
Yeah. That's my whole thing. I wouldn't be able to do it.
Yeah.
I would just burst into tears.
That's how you know comedy's not for you, and that's okay.
Oh.
And that's okay. Like, I couldn't at all ever have the attention to detail or eye or vision for what it is you do. Like, I'm terrible at all that shit. But it's like, you learn how to bomb with grace. And I think I think for me is like honesty is the best thing for everybody, a comedian, artist, or anything. But as comedians, it's like if you're bombing and you know it's not going well, the quickest way to maybe turn it around is just say it's not going well. Yeah. Just be honest and be like, well,
that didn't work out.
This isn't working, right? Like, and you're gonna feel the whole room is gonna be like,
oh, thank God, she knows too.
She knows too. And then you might have a chance at like, because nobody wants to be lied to. That's what it goes back to. Nobody wants to be bullshitted or lied to. What?
I said, I'm gonna lie to you. I'm gonna laugh.
No, don't. I would rather. I have had friends. I opened for. This I won't share details, but I've opened for a couple major comedians, which is awesome. But I opened for one pretty big comedian, and I was really out of it. I like didn't feel well. I was headlining the Improv that week, so I was stressed about, and it was a kind of tight. I could blame it on a bunch of shit. But long story short, not what I would have wanted to do on this one night in Wynwood, right? And I love this because Carmen, one of my best friends, she just stand up, great human being, love her. And I walked up to her and I was like, how? And she was like, if you're asking me to tell you you killed, like you didn't. At all. And I was like, yeah. But I appreciated it so hard. Yeah. Like I was like, yeah. And she was like, I don't think you're ever terrible. Yeah. You always get laughs. Like you're always good. But if you're telling me that like you did great or killed, no. And I was like, God, I love you.
She's the friend that would be honest about your outfit when you're going
in my
out.
relationship. She just today was like, leave this shit be, bitch. Yeah. I was like, okay. Yeah. Didn't listen to her, obviously. But anyways, yeah.
Me and my brother had to establish that bond. I'm like, should we start listening to each other a little bit?
Should we start taking the advice we're giving each other?
Yeah, because neither one of us were,
We're doing that? Yeah, that's where I'm at. Yeah. I don't take my own. I have found I'm going through a relationship.
I like
right
that
now.
you're like this, like punching out all the advice, and you're like, I don't take my own advice.
I don't take my own advice. I don't. But I will say for me, a lot of times my friends are like, don't reach out again, don't try again, don't whatever. But I like to, because then in my head, I'm like, well, I can put my head on the pillow knowing like,
I did my best. Yeah.
I tried everything.
Yeah.
I apologized. I was the bigger person. I even extended the drinks and coffee offer. And if you're still going to ghost or be a dick or whatever, also too, I think I subconsciously do it because if you're gonna be a dick that much, then I'm gonna be like,
but everybody else,
oh, I'm over it now. Fuck you.
Also, too, everybody else looking at what's going on, they have like a different perspective than you do in it. So I always have to like take that. You know, I'm like, I don't really know how much of your advice I'm gonna take. Sorry.
You have to be very careful what advice you take.
Yeah.
Very careful. And I'm always guilty of that in dating scenarios. I take way too much from everybody, and then it becomes this weird kaleidoscope of dump him, don't, yes, stay with it. Oh, okay, you were wrong, you were right, and then you just cloud your own intuition.
I saw a girl say that if you have to make a pros and con list, then you should just end it. And I was like, that's it. That's the one.
I mean, I hate this saying, but it's like true. Like, you know that whole like, if it's not fucking fuck yes.
Yeah.
It's no.
Yeah. Ugh, someone just spent months telling me that. Star, actually.
Who?
Star, the first episode. Yeah, she's like my second mom. She's like, if it's not a hell yes, it's a no. She told me that forever.
It's kind of
and I didn't listen to her. And then when it all like hit the fan, I was like, she was right. She was right.
It's just kind of true. I'm going through it right now. I'm miserable right now. I'm so sad. But like, I know in my bones that it was like, this should not be this difficult this early on.
Yeah.
This is not what you want. Like, you're not getting what you want. You're even ignoring your own needs just for, like, what does he think?
No.
And what is... But at the end of the day, it's like, you're not...
Don't do that.
At all. I know. But, like, the whole if it's not fuck yes, it's no is... The thing is with America, we immediately rush to put everything on a fucking throw pillow.
Yeah.
Or on a Pinterest board.
Yeah.
Or on an Instagram meme. And we desensitize people to real fucking truths and things that could actually cut through.
I just had this conversation today. I was like, I think I'm done sharing anything relationship-wise, like moving forward in general.
I love that. And honestly, same. After you said that.
Fully, because I feel like every time any outside perspective gets involved, it just gets fucked up.
Now you've got a whole fucking party in your brain. And you're oh, I should text, but I shouldn't, but I should, but I shouldn't, but and it's when at the end of the day, your gut knows, but just give that gut room to hear it.
Yeah.
I love that. And I started it with this last guy only until
no more couple goals. I'm not giving it to you. I'm not giving it to you people anymore.
Fuck that shit. Literally with this last guy only recently, when things got actually complicated, intense, painful, so on and so forth, did I like really start like relying on people for like advice or doing things. And like some people in my life were like, I didn't even know you were seeing somebody.
Yeah.
And I started employing that a little bit. I was like, yeah, kind of intentionally.
Yeah.
Like nobody knew.
Got to do the soft launch.
Yeah. I'm like,
when you're engaged.
Literally. I'm like,
you like launch the ring. They're like, wait.
Like what? And you're like, surprise, bitch. Yeah. Like I didn't want you yapping in my ear about this. But like, and also you'd be surprised how many people, I'm also learning this right now too, through non-romantic things, but like you'd be surprised how many people really don't actually have your best interests at heart. And I'm not saying they're trying to bring you down. Sometimes they are, but sometimes they're not as in your corner as you think they are.
Or people are jealous too. They
Jealousy drives everything.
Try to sabotage your shit because they're jealous of what you have. See that one a lot.
Yeah, I'm having that right now.
Hot take.
I'm having that right now with a friend and a work colleague, and I'm like, oh, and everybody else is like, I haven't seen that. And I'm like, well, you haven't had this relationship with them.
Yeah.
And no two relationships are the same. And I'm like, I don't think a friend would actually talk to me that way or put those things in my head or say those things. And then I had a couple outside people, luckily, good advice, be like, then they're not your friend.
Yeah.
A friend wouldn't say any of those things.
Yeah.
You know, and I was like, oh, yeah. But it's so hard. I think it's at the end of the day knowing you can, at the end, you really not only can trust yourself, but you can trust yourself. Like, you still always kind of know.
And that's in anything.
In anything.
I like that.
Yeah.
I feel like that's a good note to end on.
Trust yourself.
Trust yourself.
My therapist would be so proud. She was always like, why aren't you trusting yourself?
We'll send it to her.
Hi, Susan.
Look what I learned.
I'm finally kind of
I'm
trusting myself.
I'm getting indirect therapy from Brittany.
Literally, she's like, I just don't understand why you just don't trust yourself. I was like, me either, Susan. Me either. Working on it. She's like, you're your own best friend. I'm like, you're right.
I don't agree with that. I'm my worst enemy.
Really?
Yeah. I'm like my worst enemy. Don't leave me.
How so, though?
I feel like, well, it's probably the critical. I just like get really critical of myself, and then I spiral like down this little hole.
Oh, I do that too.
I am not my own best friend.
Well, I'm both, I guess. Then I'm my own best friend in my own. Like, I know at the end of the day, I got me.
Yeah.
And I love my own company, and I truly, good, bad, ugly, whatever, fucking love myself.
Before we go, what's your sign?
Aquarius.
Okay. Interesting.
Cancer rising.
Oh.
Virgo moon.
Nice.
So I'm all over the place. So I feel a lot more than what people give me credit for, and I'm not as detached as a typical Aquarius.
It's a nice little chart, though. I like that.
I think so. What are you? You're Pisces.
I'm a Pisces. I'm a Cancer moon and a Taurus rising.
I totally see all of that.
Yeah. It's clear cut.
Taurus rising.
Yeah.
Look at this fucking apartment.
It's clear cut.
This apartment's HGTV.
I was like, my apartment's kind of crazy. She walks in, she's like, this is amazing.
She's like, my apartment's a mess. I'm like, right. Totally.
It's
gorgeous.
yeah, perfectionist issue. It's an issue. Yeah.
It's okay. It looks gorgeous, and then Cancer moon. But that's the best placement to have the moon in is Cancer.
Yeah, I cry a lot.
Good. Well, you're a Pisces too.
Yep.
I'm an Aquarius with a Virgo moon, so my emotions could not be more repressed.
Yeah. Yeah.
Bad.
Yeah.
Bad.
So my last question for you before we end is, what is your most listened to song right now?
This is basic, but I have had it on repeat, so I'm not gonna lie about it. I love Beyonce. The last album was okay. There's only a handful of songs that I really gravitate towards. I just think it didn't have a lot of meaning, but I loved Cuff It.
I don't know if I know that one off the top of my head.
Okay, it's very disco-y. But she released an a cappella version of it where it's just her and her background vocalists, and it's breathtaking. She's a queen. She's one of my favorite live acts ever. Like,
You've seen Beyonce live?
Oh, 8 times. Yeah.
What? 8 times?
Yeah, I used to work in the music business, so I got to see her.
Jesus.
I went in college and stuff, and then I got to see her. I worked at her record label for a couple years, so I got to see her on the Run tour and all that kind of stuff. And
I would make sure every single person knew that.
Really?
I've seen Beyonce 8 times.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I've seen Beyonce 8 times. Peasant.
Yeah,
okay.
peasants.
Okay, loser. Okay. No, she's amazing. She's the best live. Nobody holds a candle. In terms of a live performer,
Yeah.
nobody holds a candle to her. She's a monster. So the a cappella version of that song is beautiful because it's just her voice and it's like awesome. So yeah.
Cool. All right.
Those are
Got some
3.
stuff to add to the playlist.
Yeah.
All right. Well, this has been the Little Art Studio podcast. I'll make sure to link Brittany in all of the things and all of the bios.
Huge bitch.
Definitely check this bitch out. And we hope to see you on the next one.
Bye. Bye. If it's not a fuck yes, it's a fuck no. Bye.